Ladies and gentlemen,
It's the Backyard Maker Show.
Backyard Maker Show.
We speak that realness.
Peace. Interwebliens, my people, my beautiful people out there. Greetings, we are back with another show, the Backyard Maker Show, backyardmakershow.com. My name is Self, I'm your host. I'm here with my co-hosts, Beatrice and Xavier. Peace, y'all, what's good?
What up, dog?
How y'all doing? Who wants to go first?
B, go first, please.
I'll go first. Been good stuff. I have to say, recently, something interesting is that a lot of Aquariuses are coming around.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you an Aquarius?
I am.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at
We were just talking about that.
I'm a person.
Are you?
So it's very
I'm an Aquarius
interesting.
also.
I'm surrounded by
When's your
Aquariuses
January 22nd.
right now.
February 9th.
February 9th? Okay, I'm February 17th.
Yeah, she mentioned that earlier. That's why.
I'm also psychic.
Cool.
I pick up on things. So yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of my clients, a lot of people coming around, a lot of Aquariuses, and I think a big part of that is we are in the age of Aquarius, and we need to acknowledge that. A lot of these Aquariuses are open to a lot of things that they're ready to show the world, and they need guidance, and I think that's why a lot of them are starting to come around and open up and through their art and all these different forms. So I'm really grateful to be able to come across so many Aquariuses.
Age of Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
What's good with you, X, man? How's everything, man?
Everything is wonderful. My healing work is very, very interesting. I had a short story. So every day is sort of like some superhero shit. Honestly, it's just weird. So I tend to not tell the stories because I'm like, I ain't gonna believe it. But so I had a story where I had this person. Her intestines were just pretty much out her body.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were like in a bag. You know what I mean? She had open heart surgery. She had a lot going on, and friend of the family recommended me, though. The other friend of the family, like her aunt, or the friend of the family's grandmother, was skeptical of me at first. You know, until my bad, I don't want to shake the table. Until shaking the table. Until you know, they started seeing me become healthier. Because if you guys didn't know, I was sick for 12 years, so I was doing a lot of my healing work while I was sick. So people were waiting to see me get better to actually see or believe it to be something that would be real. So they all vouched for me. I went up there and I did my healing work, and needless to say, she's in no pain. She's walking with easier. You know, her fiance was like, "Oh my God, it worked." So I was really happy about that. But then here's the thing: I realized anytime stuff like that happens, I don't value myself enough. You know what I'm saying? Because then I just do it, and I'm on to the next thing. Like I'm like, all right, cool, great. My bad, great. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think about it enough. I don't, what, that was powerful, and just sit there and reflect on that. You know what I mean? I just go to the next goal. What's the next thing? Okay, gotta go get gas. Okay, gotta go to the grocery store. Okay, all right, what's the next session? All right, boom. But when I think about things like that, like, wow, because I used to be in that position where I couldn't do anything for myself. So to be the person to go into someone else's life to change things is fun, to say the least.
Well, without further ado, man, I want to introduce FIYABOMB, but just fix your Get that camera on you. Move real quick.
Yeah, I moved it a little bit.
We want that Facebook Live crew to get the goods.
Times,
yeah, because it's a table, man. But
hey guys, actually, if anything, I just move closer. It's probably because it's on the edge too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
There you go.
All right, man. Well, without further ado, man, let's introduce our special guest. We got Miss FIYABOMB in the building. FIYABOMB, welcome to the show. Greetings.
Thank you.
Also, she's actually the first artist to help us break in the new studio. So can we get another round of applause real quick? Peace. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Yes, indeed. Thank you for being here.
So I've been following you for a while on your social media, your Instagram and stuff, and I've seen all the stuff that you do, your art, your words of wisdom, how you reach out to your fans and all that, and the positivity. So that's something that interests me a lot. That's why I wanted to get you on the show. So yeah, I mean, talk to us. Where you from? Please let our people know your title, what you do. Our Interwebliens. That's what we call our fans, Interwebliens. So, but yeah, just please let us know, a little bit about you.
So my real name is Olivia Wynn. My artist name is FIYABOMB. I'm from Hartford.
Okay.
I was raised in Hartford. I was born in Philly. And I'm an international gallery artist.
Dope. I see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see that. It's beautiful.
Yes, we were checking some of your paintings earlier, and they are amazing. Very bold, bright colors. I want to ask, what is your inspiration? Did you have an artist like Frida Kahlo, like Diego,
So the inspiration from a lot of my pieces is just inspired from my own life experiences. Okay. So I go through a lot of things. Okay. I paint my feelings, I paint my emotions, and it just so happens to be relative to what people are going through. And then they feel it, and it's just shared. But that's more mainly what's inspired from. So, yeah.
Those colors are serious, man. We were talking about this earlier, yo. It's you don't even how do you see? So when you go or when you get inspiration for a painting, when you're I want to. Do you get images and the colors along with that? And then when you get the colors, how do you recreate a color that's in your mind? Can you guide us through that a little bit? How do you do something like that?
It's part of my palette. So my palette's pretty vibrant. It's pretty just very alluring, and I like it like that. I love pop art, and those colors that stick out, those fluorescent colors. I feel like those colors are more look at me, look at me. They'll always be attention seeking. They're not really neutral. They're not really black and white. Right. They're very even in an empty room, they're they're very come here, come here, you're gonna see me anyway. So, and I like for the work to be like that, just so that the work could get recognition in a way. But in a sense, those colors make me happy. Yeah.
So you paint in frequency, in a sense.
Yeah.
It seems like you paint more with the feeling of what you want to come across versus the color. Which is a different way to go about it. It's very interesting. Wow.
Now, so you say they make you happy, but when you paint, are you happy painting, or are you going through something? Do you use your pen to paint, or is it something that is more of a happy feeling?
Majority of the time when I paint, it's normally I feel like anything that has happened, it's eventful. So a lot of the times when I do paint, it's very something bad happened, or something sad happened, very or something depressive has happened. It's really rare that I paint it happy. But the thing is, after I'm done painting, it always makes me happy.
Right.
So it's very therapeutic.
Very
Therapy.
extremely.
It's interesting. I've been reading about alchemy lately, and it's very similar to how they describe what alchemy is.
Yeah.
Because you're transmuting from one state to another. So you're taking all those feelings and emotions, and you're changing it into something that is productive, and also something that benefits you, and also it changes your mood. For the audience, the same thing with music, same thing with clothing design, same thing with energy work, same thing with everything. It's all about changing it from one form to another. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's funny because I started off writing poetry, and that's how it was for me. I was sad anytime I wrote. You know what I mean? It started off with an emotion or an experience I was trying to understand more, whether it just be my own emotions or my own feelings, and then it would come out through the words, and I'd be so happy that it was fly. Ooh, this is sick, and I would forget what I'm talking about. That I'm talking about something that's not happy, but this is beautiful. So. It seems like we've almost been trained to find beauty in pain.
Yes. I believe art and depression go really hand in hand with one another.
Yeah.
Even when we listen to music and you listen to artists that are already depressed, like they write the best music when they're depressed. Not really when they're happy.
Right.
And the thing that we actually relate to more is the sad times and the dark times, more than we relate to the happy times. Like it's more that we like we'll always have that one happy song that we know that makes us really happy. But then we're more like when we listen to the dark music or when we listen to the sad music, we're just like, wow, I feel this because it's so vulnerable.
And it connects.
Yeah.
To relate.
Yeah.
Passionate.
It's very raw, and then it's stuff that people don't speak about, sing about, or rap about, and you're just like, wow, like. But people always say, oh, I'm really happy. I had a good day.
Yeah.
But when you hear like, oh, I had a bad day, like, oh, what happened?
Right. You almost bypass somebody saying they had a good day.
Yeah.
I had a good day. Oh, word, cool.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
That's what's up.
Because you never ask what made it good.
Right.
People go through a bad day, you ask what made it bad.
What happened?
Yeah.
What'd you go through?
That's true.
That is very, very true. Do you think we're infatuated with pain
I do.
as a society?
Yep,
Yeah.
I do. I think we go through a lot of pain in society, and I feel like right now pain is it's being reflected a lot through social media, through film, through music, through art, and I think it's a passageway that people are trying to escape from, like use it to escape. I think at a time like this, the time that we are in right now too, it's very valid. It's valid for everything that's happening, whether it's politics, everything that's happening with school shootings, everything that's happening with rape, everything that's happening with deporting people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the society we're in, we're creating new norms for pain.
Yep.
You know, so, and I think a few factors come into that. So like, all right, so the kind of drugs that we're being exposed to now are I would say a higher form than what we've been used to, you know. You have pharmaceutical drugs that'll probably be more damaging than crack. You know, you have things that, you know, you can get prescription for legally that would damage you way more than anything you can find on the streets. And these are the drugs that people are taking more than your crack, your heroin, and all that. And that's kind of like old school at this point, honestly. You really, like, in the time that we're in. And then when you think about that, right? So then if everyone's kind of managing their pain through pharmaceuticals, which is interesting in itself. I'm gonna double back in a second about the pharmaceutical part. But if everybody is trying to manage their stuff off of pharmaceuticals, then the next level of pain is gonna take another level of pain for them to feel anything, because most people are numb. You know what I mean? So then there's another drug, and then that gets normalized. You know what I mean? And then it just continues, and then it continues. Right, and it's
The pain because you never actually
deal with it. Right.
It's like weed. It's like, you know, you start off with weed. Weed is a gateway drug. You start off with weed, and then you go on to shrooms, and you go into cocaine, then you go into crack, then you go on heroin, then you go into Molly, then you go into E. It's just like...
Because you don't deal with the root thing.
Huh?
Because they don't deal with the root, the thing.
The root cause.
I just think like it's almost like a plateau. So it's like you get high, and then you want to intensify the high. Oh, I love this high so much, but I want this high to even feel like a deeper high or a more meaningful high. So I'm gonna take something else that is gonna get me that high. And then when they take that other thing that's gonna get them high, now I want something else that's gonna make me even more higher than that. Because, you know, it's almost like food too. So it's like, wow, this tastes really good, but if I add this, it's gonna make it taste better. But then now if I add another thing, it's gonna make it taste better. And if this don't taste good, I'm gonna go to somewhere else that's gonna make it even better.
Right,
They're gonna make the same thing, but it's gonna...
People are addicted to feeling good.
Yep, there you go.
Quick
There you go.
feeling of feeling good.
Yeah.
Well, that I agree with. I have to disagree with the gateway thing.
But weed?
Yeah. Just because I know so many people that do that never went past that. And I also know the medical part of it and how it has helped a lot of people. And there are parts of my practice that I use that with people as well. So there's that with it, you know. But that's the drugs in general. People usually take it because of some type of pain, just to numb some type of pain, to feel that quick feeling, that fix. Addiction is anything, you know, even pain. Pain can be addicting.
So
Right. Pain can definitely be addictive.
real quick, guys, we're getting real deep, real quick, and I just want to kind of, I want to get there. I want to, you know, I want to know FIYABOMB. I want to know the beginnings, and then we'll go back down the line, man. So let's you know, when did FIYABOMB start drawing or getting into art? How old were you? What inspired you?
I began creating when I was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And like it was just like one of those things where like I was just really good at drawing. And my family is from a foreign family, and like so we're very like secluded.
Okay.
You grow up, I don't want you playing outside with other kids. I don't even want you going outside. Don't sleep over people's
we've been there.
houses.
We've been
What are your roots?
Yeah, what's
if
your
you don't mind?
nationality if you don't mind?
Oh, my family's from Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had like a first grade teacher. She was telling my dad, she was just like, she's very talented for 6 years old.
Yeah.
So like, you should roll her in an art camp, and like, so that she can still keep going at it. And then even as I got older and I kept getting older, I throughout the years of elementary school, middle school, high school, I just kept drawing. And then the more that I kept practicing, I got good at it. High school, I went to college, I majored in art, I minored in marketing, but it was just like one of the things that I didn't stop. Like I would draw on desks, I would draw on people's clothes, and I was just like, it's just like, you had that one friend that was just like, oh wow, she's known for drawing, or like, she's a really good artist. And
That's dope.
from there I just kept at it. I didn't teach myself how to paint until after college.
Wow.
So I taught myself how to paint 5 years ago.
And is that what you do mostly now? Is the painting, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
The paintings
Way
harder?
more.
Do you think the painting's a little harder than drawing?
I feel like painting now is easier, but if I have to describe painting being hard, I feel like it just took so much practice, and it took so much efforts to like really take the time to progress in. But drawing was something that I started when I was 6.
Yeah.
And the thing is, subconsciously, you don't really know that you're like getting better at it.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, maybe my drawings look the same, but
Became
then
natural to you.
yeah. So when
The people tell you pretty much, right?
yeah. So like when you see something that's like as opposed to like 6 years old to like 10 years old, you're like, wow, she did this at 10, but it's different. And then like when I went to high school is when I realized I started progressing a lot. I was just like, wow, like my portraits of people's my sketches of like portraits, they just look realistic. And then I wanted to challenge myself in something different, so I chose to paint. I had teachers in college that they were telling me, they're just like, you draw and you paint really well, and because you do this, I'm pretty sure you're a really good painter, so you should take on painting. But I just didn't take painting in college.
So being that you do painting a lot now, is that your favorite? Or
It is.
It is now?
I like painting, but I'm very universal.
Okay.
I do sculpting, I do jewelry making, I've done ceramics, but painting has been more of like my like release.
Okay.
Yeah.
X does jewelry as well.
Yes, he
Oh,
does.
do
He
you?
made my
Oh,
necklace.
that's awesome.
And-
That's, that's dope. I love your necklace.
B, don't
Thank
you
you.
do a little bit of jewelry too?
I do
kinda?
too, yeah, but not like X like
Yeah.
that. So I asked him for a necklace. He just made me one recently.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
that's,
you.
that's dope, man.
Well, quick question. So what made you actually make the jump to painting? Like, what was the thing that was like, I'm gonna just do it?
The very first painting that I did was of a celebrity, and when I was drawing, there was a contest that was going on. It was actually for Big Sean, and
I remember that.
every single day that during the contest, I was a nail tech at the time, so I worked at a nail salon, and I had a follower that hit me up. During the time, I only had like 300 followers. I had a follower that hit me up, and he was just like, hey Liv, like Big Sean's holding a contest, I think you should join it. He's looking for graphic designers, artists to like work on his like next album. And I was just like, okay, cool, bet. So I decided to sketch a portrait of him every single day, but I didn't feel like he was like seeing it. So I was just like, and people were adding him, I didn't feel like he was seeing it. So I have a really, really solid relationship with God. And I remember just like waking up one morning, and I didn't even know how to paint. I was just like, I'm gonna wake up one morning. I heard like this, like, swear to God, I heard like this like whisper in my ear, just like, paint him. I need you to paint him. And I'm just like, okay, but I don't know how to paint. And I remember going to the store, just buying all these art supplies and buying these canvases. And I was just like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna paint him. Somewhere in America, this guy is gonna know that there's like a 6 by 7 foot painting of him. And I had a professor tell me in college, they're just like, you draw so well, so if you draw like this, I can just imagine like how you paint. So this is still when like Instagram was still 15-second videos, and I was just documenting everything. I was recording everything. I was like letting them see everything, and before you know it, like all of like my followers, which was only like 300 of them, they were just adding him, and they were adding his girlfriend at the time. They were adding like, you know, people that he knew, his publicist, stuff like that, and it was just so crazy that it transpired into him finding out about the painting, seeing like seeing that painting, and then him reposting it on his Instagram, me meeting him. It was crazy.
Nice.
But that was the very first time I painted.
Okay.
Wow.
How long
the
ago was that?
first
Actually?
time you painted that happened?
Yeah, so that was
That's crazy.
so it's like that's like why like I feel like
Definitely a divine calling.
Yeah.
that's why I feel like my relationship with God, it's very like in tune. It's very like very like
Beautiful.
Olivia, if you listen to what I tell you to do, this is going to happen.
Right. It's
So
beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful.
it was awesome.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
bro.
that's cool.
That was mine.
Nah, it is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That happened
Sheesh.
5 years ago.
Okay.
Soul alignment.
I
So
remember-
on the right
Wow.
path.
You posted it, I think recently, maybe not recently, but that's when I started. I think I started following you like 2 years ago or something like that, or a year ago. And I don't know, maybe you reposted, but I saw it, or I was going through your timeline, but I saw that.
If you Google it, you'll see
It'll
it.
pop right up.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
For real. Wow. That is like
What an
that's
intro to the painting world.
Yeah.
for real, man. Wow.
Thank you.
But oftentimes that is true. Like when you find new things about yourself, find out you're able to do this or able to do that, it might come out of necessity or out of just being spontaneous. Like even us starting this podcast was you know what? You know, we're just gonna go do it. We're just gonna go for it. I do long distance healing too, so I do healing over the phone. And it used to just be hands on, but then I was like, wait, I can't get to everybody this way. I need to find a way to do it and just send it and it'd be effective too. And that's where the long distance healing came into play for me. So it's like each step of growth, even making beats was like, well, I don't know any producers. You know what I mean? So I need to make some beats. I need beats. Like I don't want to use somebody else's beats, so I'm gonna make my own. So it seems like every step of growth that you make in life tends to expose you to more of who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if it's a challenge or something that you just don't know where the next. Right.
Doors open up.
Right.
And talking about doors, I know you do. You have your own art studio,
I
correct?
do.
And you do.
I just came from there actually.
Okay. Yeah. You do. I forget what they're called. The art parties. With
The paint and
the
stuff.
paint. Yeah.
Oh,
those
yeah.
paint
Paint
sets.
parties.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Let the people know. Where it's at when you do them, or how you get down.
So I own an art gallery studio in Plantsville, Connecticut. It's a small town that's inside of Southington, and I actually do the private paint parties by appointment.
Oh, that's
So I don't do them all the time. I only do them when like people like pay to want to do them. But people, they travel from everywhere. They
That's
travel
dope.
from states to
Nice.
come to
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the parties, man.
experience like the parties. But
Wow.
the great thing about it is that I've never been to another painting set. So I've never been to Muse. I've never been to Paint Night. I've never been instructed by somebody
Wow.
else. But the stuff that I've seen people paint, and like and it's not like to like bash them or anything like that, but like I want to teach my crowd something organic. So I teach them how to paint the women that I paint. So instead of painting landscapes or like painting vases with flowers,
Yeah.
I want to teach them how to paint the women that I paint, that they're in their like natural nature. So I do that by appointment.
I love that.
It's one of my sources of
That's
income. I love that.
And you need to keep doing it because that's how I found out about you.
Oh, for real?
A friend of mine went to one of your one of the classes or one of the things, and I know it was a group of their friends, and she posted it, and then boom, that's how I found out about you. This was not too long ago. Ruthie, I don't know if you know Ruthie. I forget her last
Ruthie.
name, but
I feel like I do know her.
Colombian short. But anyways, that's how I. That's how I.
And
Lito, everybody's gonna know Ruthie.
Yeah, you never know.
no, it's cool. And the other great thing about like the painting sips too is that during the time that we let the painting dry, it becomes very therapeutic. So I start talking to them. So every single time when we have a break, I'll always ask them, what's something that you want to accomplish this year? What's something that you did get over this year? And what are you scared of the most? And then a lot of my paint parties, they consist of women. They always end up crying. So they
Well-
cry in front of everybody. And
Let's talk about that because that's one of the things that, like I mentioned earlier, that stood out. You're very you're very passionate when you speak to your fans and your supporters. I've noticed on, you're like, you're doing the live right now, you're making them a part of the show. And I think that's so dope. And, you're very inspirational. And let's talk about that. What, have you always been like that? Has the art made you be that way? What's really, what drives you like that? Like,
I think like the first time, so the very first time that Instagram became like really popping, I like and I wanted to share my artwork with people. When I was in college, I was quiet, and like people just knew me as I was a girl with walking around with a huge drawing board, and like and I was just really good at drawing. But then I told myself that I really want to share my artwork with people and let them know that I wasn't quiet. And like once people got to know me, I'm very very loud, very transparent, very honest. And during that time, when Instagram became like a really huge platform for everybody just to connect with people, bigger than Facebook, like people were just like, oh wow, did you know that she like she's really good at drawing? Did you know that she creates this? She's talented. And I went through like a really really bad breakup, and I told myself even more that even from the bad breakup, I was gonna focus way more on art, and now I was gonna use it like Instagram only as a platform to like expose my artwork. And it ended up like being it ended up just kind of blowing up.
Like I said, it's like it was something happened. It's like, listen, man, I got
like it's crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
something bad happens, and it's just like, okay, God, all right, like
I'm
now
gonna
I
do
gotta
this.
do this. Yeah,
Right.
Well,
So can you
True.
say that like that was meant to happen almost?
absolutely.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
that pain.
And before I used to juggle about it. I'm just like, why did I have to go through this? And like, why did he do that? Or why is my heart broken? But then now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I'm so glad that it's happened. But that way too, when I do talk to my fans or my followers, when I do interviews, when I meet anybody, I just met with clients from Massachusetts. They drove from Massachusetts to see the art studio.
Wow.
And like, I make sure that it's like anytime we have an encounter, like you're like my friend, like you're my friend, like I'm gonna talk to you like you're my friend.
Yeah, because we none of us ever met. You know what I mean? This is our first time, and it's like I feel like that's crazy, right?
like
Like
you
the
know
energy,
Yeah.
the energy's amazing.
Very connected. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and I love that about you. You know what I mean? Actually, can you give your social media out to the people so they could actually see your work and if they want to tune into you?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at FIYAB0MB. It's FIYABOMB. If you guys want to go check out my website, it's FIYABOMB.com. It's with an O instead. FIYABOMB.com. Twitter, Tumblr, it's all the same thing with a 0 instead. It's only because some other girl got my actual name.
Wow,
So,
okay.
but it's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool how it happens.
We make it work.
And then if you can't get me through that, you can just Google Firebomb. Yeah.
Dope, man.
Absolutely.
Well, recently you did something with the Get Out movie that was pretty dope. I'm gonna let you explain it, but the art that I seen and what you were doing was dope. Can you just how did that go about? How did you grab that?
It was, oh my God, it's gonna be a story, but it's a good
Tell a story.
That's what we're here for.
So last year, me and one of my homegirls from Atlanta. So I used to live in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 2 years, and me and one of my homegirls from Atlanta, we went to go see Get Out. And I'm a huge fan of horror films. I love horror films. And like, she was just like, Liv, we gotta go see Get Out. It's a really good movie. Everyone's been talking about it. And I was just like, okay. And it just came out. It came out in February 2017. So we went to go see it, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie. I was just like, this is
It was, yeah.
such a good movie. It's strategically done. It's like very artistically directed. And I say that because like, when you watch the movie, nothing's literal. It's like you have to use your brain power in order to like really consume the movie. So after that, I was like really paying attention to the details in the movie. The teacup, what's it called? Daniel Kaluuya, and just everything, the racial injustice, like slavery. And I told myself, I was just like, wow, I'm so inspired. And I just felt like painting him, and I just felt like painting him inside of a teacup. And the crazy thing about this painting was like, I remember praying about it. So I always pray before I paint, like a painting.
Okay.
And I remember praying about it. I'm just like, wow, I just feel like this painting is gonna be so good. And I remember when I have like a really good like idea that it's gonna come out really good, I feel like it ends up being really powerful. So I went the next day to the store, got a canvas, decided to paint my idea. Jordan Peele, the director of Get Out, he decided to post it, and he posted it twice on his Instagram. So from there, I'm used to let celebrities posting my work. I gain a following off of that, and he's awesome for that.
Yeah.
And what happened next was like the craziest thing. So that happened in February. So my friend, the same girl that I went to theaters with, she lived in Atlanta. She wanted to move back to California. So we decided to take a road trip. Took a road trip to San Francisco, and I got a email from Universal Pictures and Studios, and then they were just like, hey, you know, the Get Out movie was phenomenal, so we want to create a coffee table book where we want to publish your work along with hundreds of other people that did artwork for the movie Get Out. And I was like, okay, dope, that's so cool. That was my first time ever being published. I was like, I'm grateful for anything that happens.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, I'm grateful for anything that happens. And I remember like when that was sent to me in email, I remember I reposted it, and then the next day I got a call from a representative from Google, and they were from New York, the Google building in New York, and they're just like, hey, we want to hang your artwork inside the Google building. I was like, okay. It was so much that was happening in a little short amount of time.
Man.
So I sent my disclosure agreement and my contracts off to Universal Pictures so that they can use the artwork for the book. But then from there, it was almost like a fable. It's almost like we don't know what happened with it. All of us artists.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, we received like this like really mysterious black box in our mailbox.
Oh wow.
And it was just like, what is this? And like, it had no return address. It didn't have like any type of like info that, you know, you would think like, where's this coming from? And then all you saw in the middle was like, you know, when you open the package was just a teacup. Just like,
Wow.
And it was just like, what is this? So we opened the book, and it's the book. And I was just like, wow, this
That's
is awesome.
amazing. I
That
love
is
hearing
wow.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So they gave every artist a copy.
Nice.
And I think there's like probably like a good 150 artists in the book.
Okay.
So
Congratulations too.
Yeah,
thank
that's a
you,
big one.
thank you.
That's big.
So that actually happened in September.
Yeah.
A couple months later after that, I think this is around November. No, this is December actually. I got another email from Trailer Park Content. So they're right next to Universal Studios in LA, and they were just like, it was from the VP of Trailer Park Content. So he was just like, hey, we found your work through Jordan Peele's Instagram. We found your work through like, you know, the book and all that, and we want to pick 10 artists to cover in a film with Jordan Peele on YouTube.
Wow.
Where you talk about your artwork, but it's all snippets of us talking. So I didn't get to meet them,
Nice.
but I was just like, okay, and I was their 8th phone call. And I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Dope.
And more so, like, I remember being at FedEx during that time, and I was making my prints at FedEx of my work, and like, I just started crying in front of the cashier, and then she was just like, "Oh my God, is everything okay?" And I was just like, "No." But they reached out to me. We had like a hour interview, just talking about like what the movie meant to me and all that. And then I had my friend do a professional recording of me right next to my painting, talking about it. And I think it was like done a week later. Like it was just like a film made. So Jordan talks, and then the next person that talks is me.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I talked several times in the video. I'm just like, this must have been a good painting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was so. This happened the day before my birthday.
Wow.
The very same day, I got a call from New York Magazine.
Wow.
And then they emailed me and they called me and they're just like, hi, my name is so-so. I'm the senior photo editor of the magazine. And like, I want to talk to you about using your painting as a table of contents in our magazine for our March issue. And I was like, okay. And it was just the craziest thing.
Wow, congratulations again.
Thank you.
For real.
Yes,
And
That's amazing.
Thank you. And then they dished out the magazine to everybody. I bought a copy. All like my family, everybody bought a copy, and it was the table of contents. And then they gave me credit. They used my full name at that, and they were asking me like, you know, have you met Jordan? Because the article was about Jordan, and he was being interviewed for like, you know, the process of just what it took to film the movie in 23 days, and they're just like, and I remember them saying like, oh, has Jordan seen this painting? Like, we want you to meet him. It didn't happen, but I mean, I know he knows.
He knows about you.
Maybe
It'll
in the
happen.
future.
It'll
Yeah.
happen. It'll
Yeah.
happen. Wait, did you say 23 days? They took
Yeah,
you?
so
Holy
the film
shit.
was shot in 23 days.
Wow.
The film was shot in 23 days, done off of a $4 million budget.
Wow.
The film ended up grossing
Yeah,
like
he
in the
killed
first
that.
week like over like $200 million.
He killed that, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he did.
got an Oscar for
He
it.
super flipped that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now I just found out too that it was the painting was also covered in Variety magazine, which is a big magazine too. And
It's big.
he received a Oscar at the Oscars,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the painting was inside of the Oscars pamphlet that they passed out to everybody. So it was inside the program
dope,
that they
sis.
passed out to everybody.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was trying to like see if I could like find somebody that could send me a copy,
Copy of
of
that.
the yeah.
That's
Yeah.
big, though.
Oh, thank you.
Talk about that feeling,
Yeah.
like just you
What does
know,
that feel
I-
like?
like that growing all of a sudden. You know,
You're gonna be a
I
part of
cried a
that
lot.
forever. That movie forever. You're a part of
Yeah.
that. You know
I
what I'm
cried
saying?
a lot,
That's
and
dope.
I have to say, so the one of the things that I'm thinking about, like God being in tune with everything that I paint, or like you know what happened was that painting was the very first time I ever painted a man. So I'm just thinking to myself like maybe this happened because it was the first time I painted a man. So I painted
Okay.
a man, and then a whole year later, like this is what happened.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even happen in that year. It just happened a whole year later.
Oh,
I'm just
wow.
like I didn't realize that this painting was gonna be so popular. And then even when I like made prints of the painting, like 500 sold in one day.
Whoa.
Each print is $25,
Nice.
and it became so popular.
Beautiful.
You planted that seed, and it just
Yeah.
It just spread out.
Yeah. It
Have
was
you
dope.
painted more men since?
Yes, I painted. I don't paint men often, so
Yeah.
I know from the back of my mind who I painted. So I painted Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. I painted Dave East. I painted recently. I painted a bearded man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
seen that paint with
series.
the hat.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
dope,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you.
I was like, yo, look at this.
Yeah, I painted DJ Khaled, but he's not considered too much of a gallery piece to me. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Amazing picture. I
So-
have to ask you some stuff and get into some of this feminist stuff because I
Okay.
did notice that on your page. I have an
Hey,
issue right
hold
now.
on, hold on. Hey, we might have to leave the room. Like,
No,
I don't
stay
hate
in the
men.
room.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's okay.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like
No, no, I'm
we
joking.
need to be able to have these conversations
Absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
You know.
And it's good for the people to hear. So.
Yeah. So I know that Ricardo wants to mention some stuff about XXX
Yeah.
tensions.
You want me to get into it, or you want to get into your thing first?
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about that and also about what's going on now with a lot of the illegal immigrants, undocumented people, children that are being sent into detention centers. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I was a social worker for 10 years. I fought a lot for these rights and certain things, and I am going to be marching next week with the Women's March. So are you involved in anything like that community-wise? How do you feel about what's going on? I want to know kind of your thoughts on that.
I was actually at the Women's March last year.
Nice.
Yeah, so you might
nice.
see me there this year.
Okay.
It's in DC?
Yes, it's in DC.
Yeah. And when I went, it was 2 million women there. And it was
Awesome.
awesome. And I went by myself. It was great. I made a lot of friends.
Beautiful.
I get really, really passionate about feminism, and if it offends anybody.
No, you good.
I was just
Do
joking.
it.
That was a joke. That was a ha-ha. We lit.
Yeah. We're clowns in here.
Yeah, we lit.
As far as the immigrant and deporting, my parents are both immigrants. I honestly think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at these pictures, and even this year, me, my brother, my sister, I have a brother and I have a sister, we've learned way more about my family's history this past year that has made us very tearful, very, very grateful at that. what they had to do to get over to America, and how they had to adapt to American ways. Period. And like, you know, just to hear like your parents go through, like, you know, to hear my dad tell me like he came here at 14, he didn't know English, and then my mom told me that he wanted to kill himself many times because he didn't know how to eat the food here, and like, you know, he was a sponsored refugee, like, and just trying to make it on his own, just knowing that like my dad has such like an amazing story, and it's a long story, but like my father came over on a ship, I don't want to call it a banana boat, but on a ship to Malaysia, and then from Malaysia they came to the United States. My dad, when he was 14, and he came from the 2 boats that they only carried 80 people from Vietnam to Malaysia. Like, they were a mile out at shore, and they ended up being in a shark's feeding pool. And the ship was, they sailed for 1 month. Nobody ate. Everyone was skinny. Everybody lost weight. He's witnessed people like dying. People ate each other. And one of the ships wrecked in front of him, and they were in a shark's feeding pool. He saw a shark eat somebody. Like, you know, it was the scariest thing.
Deep,
he had to be carried to shore, and like, just to hear that, and then like, you know, when you think about your dad, or you think about your mom, you're just like, you know, and you're young, and you're just like, oh my God, like, that's my dad, that's my mom, like, you know, like
the struggles that they did just to get here, and then for all of this to happen,
and then just to see everything that's happening right now, it's just so fucking disgusting. It's just it's so hard to look at these pictures, and it's just it's so hard to know that this is happening right now because of one person. Like, and there's things that go on in my mind every single day. Like, I'm wondering like how these people that voted for him feel. Or I'm wondering, like, you know, if like people are watching this and they're really supportive of this, like that you're supportive of this, like they might not ever see their families again.
Right.
Like, so my dad's a twin. My dad's a twin. When he came here from Vietnam, he hasn't seen his brother in 25 years, and then he went back to Vietnam to go see his brother. I could just imagine a moment to, like, you know, see
each other.
and see your sibling.
And it looks just like you, like, on top of that,
right?
Like, exactly, you know, that's
it's the
your other half,
thing.
literally.
Literally. I know that's psychological, man. That's kind of, you know, mess with you.
And
you know?
even right now, like Vietnam is going through like the hugest, like, just communism. Like, China has invaded Vietnam. It's like it's so much that's happening, so much that's going on. It's just
that it's not safe there. It's not safe here.
And I have to say this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this on my live. If you are a supporter of Donald Trump, fuck you. You're not a fan of mine. And I mean that.
Facts.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Facts.
I'm sorry.
We all feel that. You don't gotta apologize.
There's a line that I draw, and I remember just even seeing like Eminem rap about it. Like, you're not a fan of mine at all, if you support Donald Trump.
Because you're ultimately supporting capitalism. You're ultimately supporting white supremacy.
Supporting an idea or a series of ideas.
And you know, I have to say, because it's a group of them. You know, it's not just him. There is more behind.
There's people.
Cronies.
Because you have a president, there's people that are enabled by it. They're just like, you're telling me that it's okay.
But there's also people behind him too, you know, that, you know, is part of that.
You got a cabinet.
So that's my whole thing, is that even if he is impeached, I'm so upset because I know the system, you know, and I know that it's so messed up, and it's been like that for so long, you know, and he's just making it worse.
I think that this group of people that you speak of, I think this is like their last ditch effort to, like, kind of fulfill their ideas of how things should be, so to say. You know, I think they're dying out. They're, you know what I mean, this group of people, so to say, are dying out. This is their last little, okay, we're gonna fucking try it. You know what I mean? Like,
and they're trying to go full force.
They're trying to go, because everything outside of this group disagrees with this group. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, you know how there's groups that kind of have common ground for the most part? Everybody outside of this group of people that feel these way, they're isolated. You know what I mean? Like, the world looks at them like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Whereas, and they kind of have to just be amongst themselves in order for them to do anything at all. You know, so I feel like they are dying out. This is their last They'll
You-
last.
You know what's
know.
fucked up though too, X? They look at us like that too because we live here. We're Americans. People that don't know
Yeah.
outside of here,
Mm.
that
I
shit
can
gives
just
us a bad
imagine.
name.
Yeah.
I
It
can
does,
just
it
imagine
does,
the
it
other
does.
countries laughing at us.
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
We're the
Yeah.
laughing stock of the world.
Yeah.
It's been like
so
that
true.
stupid.
for
so
many years.
stupid.
This is true.
Now, I don't want to cut nothing off, but
No, you good.
did y'all see what Melania wore a jacket
Mm.
to? I think she went to one of the concentration camps. Is
Oh,
what we'll
it
call
says
it.
something on
And
it.
on the back of the jacket it says, "I don't really care. Do you? You know what I'm saying?
Like,
how do
straight
you,
up
how do
telling
you,
you,
how do
I
you
don't give a
how do you
fuck.
do that shit when you're going to visit these kids and these families that are, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how wicked they are, bro. That they throw it out there in our
Or
faces.
how are
you
you
know what I'm
putting
saying?
children in prisons? Because that's what you're doing. You're putting children in prisons. You're selling children. I've worked in the system for so long, and I saw so much with human trafficking. It's ridiculous.
That's
it's
a big
sickening.
business.
I'm actually glad that a lot of things are being exposed now, but this has been going on.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
You know?
for
Oh,
a
yeah.
long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
Actually,
I
just saw
want
a
it to
movie
end.
in theaters. It's called Traffic.
Yeah.
It's with oh god, what's her name? Fuck. It's oh come on, Paula something.
Paula.
The model.
No, she's Robin Thicke's ex-wife.
Yeah, Paula. I forgot her last
I'm
name. But I know
cheating.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
But
though.
she's in the movie and it exposes sex trafficking.
Yes, and that's happened so much, and you know, working in it, and you can try to help all you want. All these policies are not gonna let you.
Yep.
You know, so all this needs to change. Next week I'm not marching with all the women. We're actually going before for a civil disobedience, where a lot of people will be arrested. I can't give too much information.
What date
on
is
that.
it? What date is
I can't give too much now, but
Off the
later
show,
if you
off
want
the
to
show,
talk
y'all can
about
talk
it,
about
What
Yeah.
date is the march?
it's the 30th.
The 30th?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
So before that, other women are gathering. It's a lot less women, and it's more civil disobedience, like going into the Department of Justice. So, I think because people want to take the next step, like we need to take the next step. You know, protesting is cool and all, but we really need to put this into place. You know,
Yeah.
so those are the things. I'm very passionate about that as well, and you know, anybody listening out there, if you are not talking about this, if you're not trying to do something about this, then you are part of the problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
If there was a way to slow down the progress by slowing down or stopping or just finding a way to throw a monkey wrench or whatever you want to call it into the gears of the system that is supporting these things that we're trying to stop. So I'll give you an example, like if Old Navy or something, if the people who own that are somehow funding some of this bullshit, you know what I mean? How would we find out who is is that public knowledge? How do we find out who is a part of the bullshit system?
Oh, it's
Not necessarily just as a whole, but for these particular issues.
Well, I think you always have to look at the biggest corporations.
Yeah.
When you look at the biggest corporations, the ones making the most money, they are the ones with the most influence, the most power, and the most say.
You could look it up though. You could look it up. I don't know exactly how at the moment, but you could definitely see who
Does what.
Yeah.
And I suggest that everyone that's listening, take note.
And start, contributing to private businesses, to people who have mom and pop businesses,
Facts.
artists who are really trying to make it, who are trying to grow. That's the other thing that I'm realizing, that sometimes our own people are not willing to support us. They're so caught up in their own stuff in society and buying from the same stores and all this, that they're not willing to support their own people.
And I think for maybe some people don't understand, I guess, the relationship between the dollar and power and influence and how that works. You know what I mean? If you put your dollar toward the corporation that is also putting the dollars to fund a lot of the policies and bullshit and help to pay some of these congressmen and women who are putting, if you can stop or slow down some of that power, it slows down certain things. It kind of like puts a monkey wrench into certain things, depending on how much it's done, how much of a high level you decide to not fund these companies. Now, if you decide to fund smaller companies, or like people who are like we just mentioned, are trying to do something or are doing something to shift things in a better direction, you are now putting currency or energy behind that movement or behind that that thing that they represent, or that idea becomes bigger, that movement becomes bigger, that energy becomes bigger, and it also causes a balance. And that's where we're missing right now, is a balance. Everything is completely off balance. So what in order to help to increase or encourage the balance, take away from one place and add to the places that it needs to be.
That's their language, bro. It's money. You hit them in the pockets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Things
saying? That's where they
change.
feel the pain.
That's the things.
But you know what? They know that they do their shit, and people are still giving them their money.
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't care.
Yeah.
Either
If they're making money, they don't care.
I think people don't know too. They don't know that they're really funding the
They
things
don't
that they
care.
hate.
That's the other piece.
Yeah, it's some part. Some
A
people
lot
don't
of
care.
people
Partial.
don't care.
Partial.
Partial.
I have to
Yeah.
say, I've run into a lot of people that are like, why did they bring illegal children into this country? Or there's people that say things like that, and it's ridiculous to me. And you're not better than anybody else. We are all people. You know, we all have souls. We all need to care about each other, and it starts now. You know, not when it's too late.
Absolutely, man.
Factory.
Do your people got any questions? You want to kind of see what's going on there? We can punch that in the show. I think that would be pretty dope.
Someone said, "Hey, Get Lifted Arts. The only way to defeat an enemy that knows you is to become something they do not know. They may be dying out, but they have raised their replacements."
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is fact.
Laugh my ass off. That's real. I think that's why I said, if you're a fan of Donald Trump, you're not a fan of mine.
Okay.
They're waving. They're saying hi. Keep up the good
Hi.
work. I love that you pray before you paint.
Yeah.
You deserve all these blessings and so much more. By the grace of God, you stay so grounded. Hi, it is. Hey. Wait, is that ex interviewing you?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Hey, what up, X?
What up, though? What's happening? I don't know who that was, but it's happening. What's
It
happening?
said
Wow.
NLEI 143.
What's good, y'all?
14.
Shit.
Whoever you are, what's up?
I
Much love to you.
girl. You inspire me so much.
Wow.
Let's see.
So much love and
Z5.
inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm a Zeta, that's why. Hand waves, a lot of hand waves.
So-
Trippy. Somebody knew me.
How about this? And I'm sure it's happened. Do your fans ever reach out to you, like
Oh shit, bae.
privately, inbox, emails? Have you ever gotten like testimonies of people you've inspired and through your art and things like that? Anything like
Oh,
that? ever happen?
absolutely.
I can imagine.
What's some of the craziest testimonies of things that you've had an effect on? Like, what are some of those stories?
I get DMs, I get text messages, emails every single day, and they're flooded. But I was just telling a client today, the people that came down from Massachusetts, like I've had I've had several encounters with people where they're like starstruck a little bit, but at the same time they're like, oh my God, I can't believe she's in the same room with us. I went to Urban Outfitters in West Orange Mall, and I was buying some clothes, and then when it was my turn to go up to the cashier, she started crying.
Wow.
Beautiful.
So I've met people that have cried before.
Beautiful.
I've met people that have screamed. I've met people that they're just they're awesome people, and they're just and you can just tell that they're so happy.
They're really genuinely, yeah.
I met people that are intimidated. I met people that were scared.
Yeah.
I met people that acted like they didn't want to see me, but then write me later I was too scared to say something.
I didn't really want to say, and I didn't want to
But
sweat you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come off a creep, but it's all love. Even when I'm not the type to shoot people away.
Right.
If you see me, you want to
Say
I
something.
give hugs to people. If
Same
you see
here.
me, it's all love. I never make you feel like you're awkward.
Was it ever hard to receive all of that love?
Yeah. Sometimes it gets overwhelming.
Yeah,
It does, because
yeah.
sometimes it's just it's more of it's just a privacy thing.
Yeah.
It's just oh my God. But then at the same time, maybe 95% of the time, I don't feel like that.
Right.
I've ate with my family out before. People always come up to me. I went to the club this past weekend. 20 people came up to me at the club.
Wow, cool.
So it happens all the time. I'm used to it.
Isn't it dope though when you could just kind of sit back and be like, wow, I'm actually inspiring people. That's gotta feel great. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You
It's
know?
it's one of the more rewarding parts of what
absolutely.
I do.
That's gotta be
Absolutely.
Like,
number one. You know,
I read all their comments, negative, positive, and like I've even like saved like paragraphs of everything that they've sent me, and like on days that I do feel sad or on days that I do feel down, I'll just read it. And these people are from everywhere,
Right,
and they're
right.
just like, I love you. I like, you know, I don't know you, but I feel like I know you, and you're my role model, and like, and even when I didn't ask to be, and like, it's just, I feel like being an artist and being a creative, like I feel like it's our like almost like our duty, our responsibility to show people that it's okay to do what you love to do,
To be great.
pursue it,
yeah.
and like, you know, and it's so crazy because even with the position that I'm in right now I can see why like people like look up to like Drake or like Jay-Z or actors and like directors, and it's just like because you believe that they're great and you believe that you can become the same thing. And you need people that are like organic with it, where they're just like they're sharing their stories. Like, you know, I go through rough times or I go through successful times too, but everything is like it's happening. It's a journey. It's a voyage. Like
Right.
you need to be public with it.
Right. I agree. You know, it's like you being great gives other people the permission to be great.
Yep, absolutely.
In their mind, you know,
Inspiration,
it
man.
is, and you know,
It's
they've
crazy.
already had the permission to do it, but in their mind, it's like seeing
Yeah.
you do it. It's like, yo,
They could do
I
it.
can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, and I mean, to be honest, for me, I can thoroughly relate, like 1,000% to what you're saying as far as with people. For me, my challenge is, man, one of the challenges is just receiving it, and receiving it with open arms and not criticizing myself. You know what I mean? Because I always like, okay, what I can do better? What can I do better? What can I improve? Which is good because that keeps me on top of my toes, but it's a balance that I need. You know what I mean? Versus like, you know, and it's a bit to get used to. You know, I think, and it's something I want to say to everybody. You know, the more you allow the world to see how great you have these, you know, see how great you are, and you know, see what you're able to do. Not only does it give other people permission to be great, but then also it helps you to see yourself in a clean mirror instead of a dirty mirror. I look at people around us as mirrors. I mentioned this before, you know what I mean? But most of us have dirty mirrors around us.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
smoky
Most of
mirrors.
us have smoky, dirty mirrors because people are used to seeing a certain angle, a certain perception, a certain way about you. So they're only going to see what they're familiar with. So when you expose yourself to people who don't know you, you know what I mean? But they get to see your greatness. They're seeing it clear, almost clearer than the people who think that they know you. Like, I've had that happen with, you know, my family, you know, and it's very interesting that, you know, strangers, I was able to see clear through strangers. It's an eye-opener. It really is an eye-opener. I had no idea. It made me just sit back and look at myself like, what am I missing that I didn't see that? Or I never said what they said about me to me, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were willing to say something that big or that great about you, whatever it might be, but you weren't even willing to say to yourself. Yeah. I mean, it says a lot. And I had to really dig deep. Like, well, what is wrong with me that I don't see myself the way that other people might see me? Why am I not seeing myself clear? You know, it's so expressing your greatness and showing your greatness, you don't have to be like perfect in it, you know? It's a journey. It helps you to see what else you have to heal.
Self-love is number one. Self-love. Self-love. Well, a lot of us fail to do that, man. That's why we get tired and, you know.
Yeah, self-love. I mean, because love is based off perception. And then if love is based off perception, you're only going to love based off of how you see love.
Or how
How you've been loved, right. And if you've been loved wrong, you know, you see love you know, perception-wise in a fucked up way, it's going to be hard to, like, love yourself. Because what standard do you have? You know what I mean? What standard do you have? Do you love yourself if you've never been given one? You have created your own, created yourself based off of what you know it should be, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's
I have
not
to
always
say
easy.
Your story is very inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
And
Absolutely.
I'm very glad to have met you today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes.
And actually, you know, can you kind of let everyone know, like, what are the next steps for FIYABOMB? Like, what do you have going on? Things that you could talk about? Because I know probably certain things, you know, you can't really talk, you know, when it's.
We can talk about
Because
anything.
you're a big dog now, so you doing the. No. But yeah. What do you have going on? Like, what's the next step for you?
I go to Vermont on Tuesday.
Okay.
I go to Vermont on Tuesday. I decided to take a vacation to myself.
Nice.
Nice.
I just saw you ziplining actually.
Yeah, it was for my friend's birthday.
Yeah,
It was dope.
that's what's up.
I just came back from Canada.
Okay.
So I like to travel by myself just a lot, just so that I can like clear my head or like take the time to like work on more gallery pieces. But I decided to go to the woods and the mountains and just stay by myself out there and just like work on some new work until Friday.
Beautiful.
But as far as like new stuff in the future, one of my biggest goals is I'm relocating my art studio. That's a minor goal.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's still a big goal.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's not small at all.
That means business is doing well.
That's what that means, right? That's exactly what that means.
That's
How
dope.
far?
Absolutely.
How far are you going?
I'm thinking about relocating it to Hartford because I was raised in Hartford.
Okay.
And relocating the studio is my minor goal. I feel like my major goal is to drop my book in December. I have a book coming out. It's called 5 Years of Firebomb.
Nice.
So you'll see like all my paintings in there. It'll be like an autobiography.
Nice.
Dope.
And then I have another ball. So in 2016 I held a ball. It was a massive like gala, and then I had like all my artwork there. It was a very good
Nice.
turnout. 300 people came.
Nice.
It was really good.
Dope.
So I plan on holding another ball this winter. Yeah, and it'll be of my new series of. The
I want to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
For real.
thank you.
Yes.
Well, that's dope, man. You know, I'm definitely glad that you came up and you got to share your story.
Thank you.
Like I said, I've been following you for a little bit, and I definitely wanted to get you up here. But yeah, man, very very inspirational what you do, and like what really stands out to me is, you know, I love the art. You're an amazing artist.
Thank you.
But it's always like, wow, when an artist can take that extra initiative and show that they care, show their fans that, you know, that love, that inspiration, man, that to me is commendable as hell, no matter who you are. Because there's a lot of artists and big stars that don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're planting those seeds, man, and because you know you're able to reach a lot of people through your following.
Or
so
just even being genuine.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
speaking genuine
yeah,
or speaking truth.
yeah, that's what she does.
That'll
Very
lead
commendable,
you-
man. Very
Thank you.
commendable.
Long way.
Thank you.
You can feel your presence through everything. You know, not
thank
just
you.
through your work, your artwork, but just your presence. You know what I mean? It's very clear. You know what I mean? Like not you get what you see, but there's no hidden this, that, the other one. You compartmentalize personalities all
This
over
is
the
it,
place.
yeah.
You're just you, and it's you, and this is me, and all the colors, you know, and all the different angles. And it's
Thank
just
you.
that's beautiful. That is very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Not every artist can have that kind of balance. You know what I mean?
Thank
It's
you.
hard to have balance as an artist, period, or as a person in this world. So to meet anybody with any kind of balance is commendable.
I just thought of a big goal that, because somebody just asked me before I came here at the studio, she was just like, you know, what's your end goal? And I don't really have an end goal, but my actual biggest goal is I want to be a millionaire.
Go ahead,
I want to
girl.
be on the Forbes list.
Go ahead,
You
girl.
will.
You
That's
will.
right.
You will. That's gonna happen.
Thank
You absolutely
That's
will.
gonna happen.
Yes.
And I can see you now. You're gonna do so much with your influence, time, and energy, and you'll have money not to have to worry about it. And you can just do so much stuff with it. I know. You're gonna do so much stuff with that. It's
You're
gonna
gonna
be
help.
beautiful.
You're gonna help a lot of people.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what you're gonna do. Trust me.
Yes.
I have a saying that I tell people: if you can accumulate a thought in your mind, that means it's out there.
It's
You
already.
just gotta go get that. You know what I'm saying? And you're already on your way.
Yes,
Thank you.
well
that
on your way.
path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, listen, this was an amazing show. Real quick before we go, just let the people know one more time your social media, how they can reach you again, please.
You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @FIYABOMB. It's FIYAB0MB. You can go to my website. It's firebomb.com. It's FIYABOMB.com. You can reach me on Twitter. You can reach me on Tumblr. It's the same thing on there. And if you don't have social media, you could just Google me. You can Google Firebomb and a whole lot of shit will come up.
Firebomb.
Interwebliens, everybody,
Yes.
y'all heard it. Y'all heard it first from the mighty FIYABOMB. Thank you once again for tuning in. Our show drops Wednesday, Tuesday on YouTube. Don't forget to check us out on backyardmecashow.com. Y'all want to talk shit? Y'all want to leave us any requests? Anything? backyardmecashow@gmail.com.
Yes,
Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Backyard Mecca. Yo, you know, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify. We out there. Peace,
Out here.
peace, peace. Love, love, love. Interwebliens.